and cause it, but I'll just quickly make the announcement about the recording because I have started the recording. So if I can just make mention that obviously only COSCHEM is permitted to take recording, and if there's any note takers or AI bots or anything like that, they will be removed from the platform. Thank you and good morning on this chilly morning, and over to you, Ntokozo. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Ntokozo Masuku, and I work for ACI Specialty Chemicals as Technical Manager. I have the pleasure of serving on the COSCHEM Council as PR Chair. And on behalf of the committee, I would like to extend a warm welcome to everyone on the session, and especially to our guest of honor, Sharon Bolel. Sharon, thank you for joining us today. Bridget has gone over a lot of housekeeping rules, so I'll skip over that because she just mentioned all of that now. So without wasting any time, I will hand over to Sharon. Sharon, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Ntokozo. Can you all hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Great. Excellent. So thank you so much for being here. And thank you. Before I begin, I really want to just extend my sincere thanks to Bridget and her wonderful team at COSCHEM for inviting me to speak to you this morning. I hope that some of the things that I share will be of value, and I'm always very, very willing to engage after the meeting. If you want to email me or whatever and chat to me, I'm certainly available. So, Bridget, thank you to you and your team for everything, not that you've done for this morning, but also what you do for COSCHEM and for our industry. It really is an honor and a privilege to be here amongst all of you wonderful colleagues and friends and professionals. And I have had the privilege, in fact, of being a COSCHEM member for over 40 years. And throughout these years, I've watched this organization grow from strength to strength. COSCHEM really does play a huge role in developing and supporting South Africa's cosmetic science industry, and it's created opportunities for education, encouraged professionalism, promoted innovation, fostered collaboration, and built, most importantly, really built long-lasting friendships across the industry. And it's a place where scientists, formulators, suppliers, manufacturers, students, technical specialists can continue to learn from their peers, which is really the most important learning environment. Many, many careers have been enriched because of the opportunities that COSCHEM has created, and I certainly count myself amongst those people, so thank you to COSCHEM. When I was asked to speak about my career journey, I spent quite a lot of time actually reflecting on what I wanted to say. How do I summarize 46 years of professional life? Do I list the jobs that I've had? Do I talk about some of the businesses that I was involved in building or organizations? Do I talk about the countries that I visited? The more I thought about it, the more I realized that none of those things really tell my story. Because my journey has never really been about my career. It's been about the people that I've interacted with over all these years. And in fact, if I had to summarize my entire professional life, I would say this: science gave me a career. People gave it the meaning. Everything that I've been privileged to achieve has involved wonderful, wonderful people. Family, teachers, mentors, colleagues, customers, suppliers, employees. Hi, can we mute? Is it possible to mute? Thanks. Colleagues, customers, suppliers, employees, employers, friends. Without them, there would be no story to tell. So today I'd like to share that story, not because it's unique, not because I'm anything special, but because I hope that somewhere within this story, some of you might recognize something of your own journey and let it resonate with you. One thing that I've learned is that careers rarely unfold exactly as we imagine they're going to. Mine certainly didn't. If you had asked me as a young girl what I wanted to become one day, I definitely wouldn't have said an entrepreneur, a businesswoman, an industry professional in the cosmetic industry. I wouldn't have said a business owner. I wouldn't have said a director of companies. And I definitely wouldn't have imagined standing here speaking to you guys on a CosChem platform. My pathway into the food and cosmetic industries was, to put it very politely, somewhat convoluted and circuitous. As a schoolgirl, I had one very clear ambition. I wanted to become a teacher. Why did I want to become a teacher? Because I wanted to become a replica of one of my teachers, who was the most inspiring person that I think I've ever met. She made learning exciting. She had a remarkable ability to bring every subject that she taught to life, and she commanded respect without ever demanding respect. I admired her enormously. I remember thinking, one day I want to become exactly like her. So just one point here, which I'm going to add in now, and say that we all have mentors in life, but we don't want to become like them. We want to become ourselves using the gifts that they have given us. So that was my first mistake. I wanted to become her. I admired her enormously. I remember thinking, one day I want to do exactly what she does. But the dream never survived because I tried to teach. And very quickly I discovered two things. Firstly, that teaching is one of the hardest professions in the world. And secondly, that I simply was not cut out for it. I was a touch disappointed at the time and a bit uncertain because I didn't know where I was going to head after that. But looking back, this was really one of the most valuable lessons of my career. The lesson was that sometimes discovering what you are not meant to do is the first step towards discovering what you are meant to do. If any of you have got any questions or any comments, I would love to hear them, but perhaps if you wouldn't mind keeping them till the end of the session, I'll leave plenty of time for that. So please, I would love to engage with you. So with my dream of becoming a teacher set aside, I began to look for other opportunities where I could use my degree, which was in mathematics, chemistry, and microbiology. People often ask whether I wanted a career in formulating cosmetics or formulating food products. And the honest answer is no. I simply loved science. I loved asking questions. I loved understanding how things worked and why things behaved the way they did. And I loved solving problems. I'm going to add in another point here and say that this, for me, is the key to success in your work. Be a problem solver. Chemistry appealed to both the logical and the curious sides of my personality, and at the time, I had absolutely no idea where my degree was going to lead me. All I knew is that I was not going to be a teacher. My first job was in an analytical chemistry laboratory in a food company. And there I learned very interesting things. I learned that one incorrect decimal place can undo hours of careful work. I learned that experience laid the technical foundation for everything that followed. I learned discipline. I learned precision. I learned patience. I learned attention to detail. But after about a year, an opportunity arose that completely changed my perspectives and my career. I joined the OK Bazaars. How many of you remember the OK Bazaars? Probably not many of you. The OK Bazaars was probably the first large supermarket chain in South Africa. It preceded Checkers and ShopRite. It preceded Pick n Pay. It preceded Woolworths. And I joined the OK Bazaars as their food chemist. The truth is, don't tell, this is a secret just between us. I didn't even really know what a food chemist was. They employed me because I had the qualifications they needed, chemistry and microbiology primarily. And they saw in me, perhaps, the fact that I was a bit of a problem solver. So my job was to look after their home brand, which was called Potto Gold. I think you can still get some Potto Gold products, but through OK franchises. But it was a huge range. It encompassed absolutely everything. Suddenly, my world expanded dramatically. My responsibilities covered quality control, quality assurance, product development, supplier liaison, store inspections, and technical support, and that in particular with regard to customer complaints. One day, I would be discussing product specifications with suppliers. The next day, I would be investigating quality issues. And on another day, I'd be working with management on some product development project. It was varied, it was challenging, and I absolutely loved it. More importantly, it opened my eyes to something I had never fully appreciated before. And that is that the FMCG industry, the fast-moving consumer goods industry, offers an extraordinary range of career possibilities. Science is not confined to laboratories. Scientists can become innovators, they can become developers, they can become technical specialists, they can become sales professionals, they can become quality managers or entrepreneurs, and a whole host of additional things. And suddenly I realized that science wasn't simply about experiments in a laboratory. It was about improving everyday life. And that thought excited me enormously. When you're doing your work and you're doing a test on refractive index or iodine value, or you're counting bottles on a pallet, don't think about the task, but think about the improvement that you're ultimately making in people's lives. A few years later, another opportunity presented itself, and I joined a company called Chemtra, which no longer exists. It was a company that supplied specialty ingredients to the flavor and fragrance industries primarily, and also food and cosmetic companies. And this was where I truly found my professional home. For the first time, I discovered the extraordinary world of flavors and fragrances. Because which other industry combines art, science, innovation, creativity, consumer psychology, and of course, business. And it does so beautifully. You see a bottle of perfume, or a face cream, or a shampoo, or a lipstick. And what you don't see is that behind that product are years and years of research. The chemistry, the formulation, the stability testing, the micro, the regulatory work, the consumer insights, and the teamwork to put that product on the shelf. Every successful product represents hundreds and hundreds and sometimes thousands of hours of expertise. And you, as an industry professional, are contributing to those thousands of hours. What fascinated me was that we weren't simply creating products, we were creating experiences, confidence, comfort, pleasure, memories. A single fragrance can transport you immediately back to your childhood. The aroma of fresh bread can remind you of your grandmother's kitchen. A familiar perfume can remind you of someone you love. And so the next step in my career was that chemistry had become something intensely human. Little did I know that just as I felt I had found where I belonged, life was about to change dramatically again. It happened one morning when my manager, with whom I had a wonderful working relationship, called me into his office. I can still picture the day. He told me that Chemtra, the company for which I worked, had been sold. That was significant enough. But then he told me that the business would be relocating from central Johannesburg to Wadeville. For many people, that might have simply meant a longer commute. But for me, it meant way more than that. You see, by then, I was a mother of young children. And like so many young working mothers, I had deliberately chosen to work at a place which was close to home. It wasn't simply a matter of convenience. It was about being available to my family. If one of my children became ill, if the school called me unexpectedly, if there was a family emergency, I knew that I was close enough to get there. And then my boss said another sentence which changed everything for me. He looked at me and he said, "The rules around here are going to change." You see, he had never bothered if I needed to rush off to go and see my children's school teacher. And his words stayed with me. The rules are going to change. My previous employer had trusted me. He'd understood that employees had families and responsibilities beyond their work. He was flexible. He showed mutual respect, and he had an understanding that when people are treated well, they usually give their best in return. And suddenly I found myself facing tremendous uncertainty. It felt very, very unsettling. Looking back now, I realize that many of life's greatest opportunities first arrive disguised as unwelcome interruptions. I'll read that again. I realize that many of life's greatest opportunities first arrive disguised as unwelcome interruptions, and I had no idea that this conversation would become a massive turning point in my career. So one of the agencies that I managed at Chemtra was an agency in flavor and fragrance ingredients and raw materials. And I was approached by the company abroad who was the holding company of that agency. And they said to me, how would you like to take over this agency independently? It was an extraordinary opportunity for me, but it was also one of the most daunting decisions that I have ever made. I had never owned a business. I had never been an entrepreneur. There was no business plan sitting in a drawer in my desk. No investors were queuing up to fund me. There was no guarantee that it was going to work. There was simply an opportunity. And I needed to decide, was I going to grasp that opportunity or not? Looking back, people have said to me sometimes, you were very brave. The truth is, I didn't feel brave. I felt uncertain, I felt excited, and I felt absolutely terrified. Probably all at the same time. I remember a very wise person once told me that you can actually hold very, very different and conflicting emotions all at the same time. And that's exactly how I felt. But I was so very fortunate and blessed. My family believed in me. My close friends encouraged me. And I was blessed to have the most amazing mentors within our industry who generously shared their expertise and their wisdom. One of the things I've come to appreciate over the years is the extraordinary value of mentors. None of us succeeds on our own. Every one of us can probably think of people who quietly opened a door. At the time, you don't even realize they're doing that. And they don't, there's no rah, rah, rah about the fact that they're helping you. They're just quietly opening a door. They're offering encouragement. They're sharing knowledge or simply believing in you when you doubt yourself. Those people changed my life. So in 1988, with this new venture, I now needed to find a name for the company. I needed to find premises. Well, the name became Sharon Bolel Chemical Marketing, which was very straightforward. And I worked from a bedroom in my home. It began very modestly. No grand offices, no large management team, no sophisticated software or systems, just a bit of determination and the fact that I needed to put food on the table for my family, hungriness, hard work, and a belief that if we look after our customers with integrity and with honesty, the business would grow, and it did. Entrepreneurship has a wonderful way, though, of keeping you humble, because in those early days, I was the managing director, the sales representative, the technical support department, the purchasing manager, the accounts department, and sometimes even the driver and delivery person. You learn very quickly that when you own a business, there's no such thing as it's not my job. If something needs doing, you simply roll up your sleeves and get on with it. And if I can give all of you who are employed a piece of advice, that is a wonderful attitude to carry into your job with you. Never say, it's not my job. Those early years were truly challenging, but they were also incredibly exciting. Every new customer felt like a huge victory. Every agency appointment was encouraging. Every obstacle taught us something, and slowly but surely the business grew. Over the years, we earned the privilege of representing some of the world's leading manufacturers of specialty ingredients, serving the South African flavor, fragrance, food, and cosmetic industries. We became known not only for the products that we supplied, but for our technical knowledge, our service, and above all, I think, our integrity and our honesty, and that reputation mattered enormously to me. I've always believed that your reputation is your most valuable business asset. Products can easily be copied. Prices can easily change. Markets can easily fluctuate. But integrity is priceless. And as the company grew, so did our team. Eventually, we employed around 50 wonderful people. Some of them might even be here with us today. Looking back, I don't think that the greatest achievement was growing the business. I think the greatest achievement was observing the growth of the people. Seeing a young employee develop into a confident professional. Watching someone discover abilities that they never knew they possessed. Seeing people take on leadership roles and responsibilities and flourish. Those moments were what brought me real, truthful, enormous satisfaction. Many of our staff members were the primary breadwinners in their families. That was something I never lost sight of. Behind every salary, there was a family. Children going to school, food on the table, medical expenses, dreams, responsibilities. It reminded me constantly that leadership is not only about profit. Leadership is about people. In many ways, becoming a mother actually shaped that leader that I became. It taught me empathy. It taught me patience. It taught me that everyone carries responsibilities that we may know nothing about. And it reinforced something I still believe today, that people perform at their very best when they know they are respected, trusted, and genuinely valued. I remember sitting, I'm adding this in, it's not in my notes, but I remember sitting in my office with one of my employees, a middle-aged gentleman who was a manual worker, and he was sitting at my table weeping because he had just been diagnosed as being HIV positive. And he wept, and he said, I'm not going to be at my daughter's wedding. He had a little girl of about 4. And he said, I'm not going to be at my daughter's wedding. I'm not going to be able to dance with her at her wedding. And I turned to him and I said to him, you know, there are treatments available and we're going to get you those treatments. And one day when your daughter gets married, I want you to invite me to that wedding. And I want to dance with you and with her together. And we did. I learned from building a business that people rarely remember every product that you sold. They remember how you treated them. This applies to everyone in the whole value chain. It applies to your customers. It applies to your suppliers. It applies to your colleagues. And it applies to your employees. Looking back, I realized that while science gave me the opportunity to build a business, it was the people who made that business worthwhile. The relationships we built became far more valuable than any balance sheet, and those relationships continue to enrich my life to this very day. As the years passed, the business continued to grow, and with that growth came opportunities that a young graduate could never have imagined. The little girl who had once dreamed of becoming a teacher suddenly found herself traveling the world, meeting remarkable people and discovering just how extraordinary this industry truly is. One of the unexpected joys of building the business was the opportunity to travel internationally. I often found myself visiting principals, attending conferences, exploring new technologies, and learning from experts all around the world. Every trip reinforced the same lesson. No matter where you are in the world, curiosity and innovation are the lifeblood of every single industry. One of my most memorable experiences took me to a place that I never imagined I would visit. I attended a conference in a place called Saariselkä, which is in Lapland, in the very, very north of Finland. It's almost next to the North Pole. If someone had told me that working in an analytical laboratory would one day lead me to the Arctic Circle and the North Pole, I would never have believed them. Experiences like that reminded me never to place limits on where opportunities might lead you. Our industry also changed enormously during those years. Consumer expectations evolved, technology advanced at an incredible rate. The South African political and business landscapes changed dramatically. Globalization accelerated. Sustainability became a very essential part of product development, and regulations became increasingly sophisticated. The regulatory burden carried on growing enormously. The only constant was change. I realized that one of the greatest skills that any professional can develop is adaptability, because things are going to change. It reminded me of those words spoken to me years earlier by my manager. The rules around here are going to change. At that time, during that meeting with him, it sounded like a warning. But today, I see them differently. The rules are always going to change. The challenge is not to resist change, but to embrace it and grow within it. And after 24 wonderful, incredible, rewarding years, another significant milestone arrived. In 2012, we sold the business. Sharon Bolel Chemical Marketing ceased to exist. People often ask me if it was difficult, and the answer is yes, it was very difficult. A business becomes part of your identity, especially when it's called by your name. You've watched it grow from an idea into a thriving organization. You've celebrated its successes. You've worried through the challenges. You know every customer. You know every employee. You remember every milestone. And suddenly you have to let go. And that's not easy. But every chapter has its season. And sometimes leadership means knowing when to build, and sometimes it means when to hand over the baton to someone else. So yes, selling the business did close one chapter, but it certainly didn't end my relationship with the incredible industry. Throughout my career, the flavor and fragrance industry had always remained my first love. There's something truly remarkable about an industry, as I've said, that brings together science, artistry, creativity, innovation, sensory experience, and business. It's an industry that quietly touches almost every moment of our lives, from the toothpaste we use first thing in the morning to the fragrance that we wear, the skincare products we apply, the coffee that we drink, the food that we enjoy with our families, the products that help us to make us feel confident. Behind every one of them stands a team of dedicated flavor and fragrance scientists, formulators, microbiologists, quality specialists, marketers, manufacturers. It is work that goes unnoticed by the public because nobody really knows about the flavor and fragrance industry, but it matters enormously. That's why it's been such a privilege to continue serving our industry through SAAFFI, the South African Association of the Flavor and Fragrance Industry, which I joined shortly after I sold my business. For me, SAAFFI represents something much bigger than an industry association. It represents collaboration, professionalism, education, innovation. And I do have to give a shout out to COSCHEM and the CTFA and SAAFFI and other associations who continue to collaborate with us all the time. There's a belief that we are stronger when we work together. Yes, Bridget, thank you. COSCHEM, thank you. Adelia, thank you for your willingness to do exactly this. Through educational programs, technical training, and industry initiatives, I've been very fortunate to continue contributing to a sector that has given me so much over more than 40 years. One of the greatest pleasures of this stage of my career has been the possibility of mentoring young professionals. Watching enthusiastic young scientists entering our industry reminds me why I fell in love with it in the first place. Their curiosity, their excitement, their willingness to challenge established thinking, and yes, their uncertainties. It gives me tremendous optimism for the future. People sometimes ask me what advice I would give to someone considering a career in cosmetic science, for example. And after 40 years, there are certainly many technical things I can tell them. But I think the most important lessons have very little to do with chemistry. My first lesson that I would say is be passionate about what you do. If you're not enjoying it, don't do it. Passion is what carries you through the difficult days, and every career has difficult days. And see the bigger picture. Know that the pallet you're counting with the bottles is something very important in a value chain, which is leading to something very significant. Be passionate about what you do. Secondly, stay true to who you are. Don't compromise your integrity. Your reputation is one of the few things that money cannot buy. Guard it carefully. A bad reputation will follow you, whether you think so or not. Stay true to who you are. Thirdly, keep your promises. Do what you say you're going to do. People remember reliability. Trust is built over years, but it can be lost in a moment. And fourthly, be ready to adapt. If my own journey has taught me anything, it's that the unexpected often becomes an opportunity. The career you eventually build may look nothing like the one that you first imagined. Don't be afraid of that. Embrace the change, embrace the opportunity, and grow through it. Be ready to adapt. Sometimes life has a far better plan for us than the one that we wrote for ourselves. And finally, and this perhaps is one of the most important pieces of advice that I'm giving, is invest in yourself. Invest in your education. Never stop learning. Invest in your mental health. Take care of your well-being. Invest in your relationships and invest in your future, because you are your greatest asset. Take care of yourself. As I look back over my own journey, I realized something rather unexpected. Remember that little girl who dreamed about becoming a teacher? For years, I thought that that dream had failed. Now I realize that it actually took a different path. Although I never stood in front of a school classroom, actually I did for 2 weeks. That's what convinced me that I couldn't be a teacher. I've spent in my entire life actually teaching. Teaching through mentoring, teaching through technical training, teaching through the many educational initiatives we run through SAAFFI, teaching colleagues, teaching customers, teaching young scientists who are entering the profession. Life has a wonderful way of bringing us back to our purpose, just not always by the route that we expected. And yes, life brought me back to being a teacher. So when I reflect on more than 4 decades in this remarkable industry, I don't first think about the products we sold or the agencies we represented or even the businesses we built. I think about the people I interacted with, the mentors who believed in me, the colleagues who became lifelong friends, my wonderful staff who grew into confident professionals, the customers who trusted us, the young people who are now becoming the industry's next generation of leaders. Science gave me a career, but people gave it my meaning. There's one message that I think you can take away with you today. It is that success is not measured by what we build. It's measured by who we become while building, and by the people whose lives are better because of the path that crossed because of their path that crossed ours. Businesses change, products come and go, technology never stops evolving. But the way we treat people, the encouragement that we offer, the knowledge that we share, the opportunities that we create, those become our legacy. And my journey has never really been about doing everything. Nobody can do everything. But I did always try to do what matters well. It's been about remaining curious, remaining grateful, remaining true to my values, and trying in whatever way I could to leave this wonderful industry a little bit stronger than what I found it. Thank you to COSCHEM for giving me the opportunity to reflect on this journey. Thank you to my amazing family, my colleagues, my mentors, and the many friends that I've made through this industry. And thank you to each of you, because every one of us has the opportunity to influence someone else's journey. May you never underestimate the difference that you can make in someone's life. And so, as I come to the end of my story, I find myself thinking again about that young girl who dreamed of becoming a teacher. For many years, I believed that dream had never materialized, and now I realized that I was wrong. Life simply had a different classroom in mind. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I began this talk by thanking COSCHEM. I'm ending it by thanking each of you. When I look around at the list of people here, I see that they're innovators, problem solvers, entrepreneurs, mentors, future leaders, and many, many friends. And as I said, each one of us has the opportunity to influence someone else's journey. Never underestimate the power of a word of encouragement, a piece of advice, or the confidence you can inspire in another person. That is how industries grow. That is how leaders are developed. And that is how legacies are built. It's the people whose lives are richer because we were part of their journey. Thank you, COSCHEM, for the privilege of sharing mine. And thank you, and may each of you continue building not only remarkable products, but remarkable people. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Sharon.
Thanks, Nantokoza.
Yes, and on behalf of COSCHEM, I would like to extend a thank you so much to you. Your journey was not only inspiring, it was also very insightful. Just hearing from where you went from, there's a lot of things that I think many of us online resonate with. Your passion, just your general take on everything, your love for fragrances and flavor. And as someone who just recently entered into the industry about 10 years ago, yes, I call that recent because you're 40 years in. So it is recent compared to what you have. So I look up to you, and I think that I want to find myself in a position where I'm able to also sit here and talk the way that you're talking. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nantokoza. Thank you. And 40 years is also a recent. I'm hoping to be around in the industry for many, many more years. So
Yeah,
I've still got a lot to learn and a lot to learn, and I hope a lot to offer.
it
Thank you.
definitely offers, definitely, yes. There's a lot that all of us can learn from you. That 40 years worth of experience comes with a lot of wisdom, a lot of experiences. You've seen almost everything, and you can share that amongst all of the youngsters like I.
Thank you. I would love to. I see
Yes.
some of my former colleagues in the audience. I'm so happy that you're here, and it's really, really, really special. Each one of you actually contributed so much to my career, and so I learned so much from each one of you. And it's absolutely marvelous that you've taken the time to come and be with me again. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Marcel. Thank you. Margaret, thank you. So many people, thank you. Thank you all. Jorinda, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Sharon, because, you know, like we say, this isn't our first My Journey talk. We've had quite a few, and the focus has been to, you know, to try and uplift and bring the young students into the sector and give them a vision of where they can sort of start and progress through. For the non-members that are on the platform, thank you also for joining us. And as you can see, it's a very passionate, I want to call it almost a family though, Sharon, because at the end of the day, everybody is so well connected. And I think it's quite difficult as a youngster when you're coming through the industry where everybody knows each other. But I think the networking is key. And as you say, it's all about the people. Actually, at the end of the day, which is pretty inspiring. So thank you for those takeouts. If I can also, sorry, just before I pass back to Ntokozo, I don't know if there's any questions. You know, I think if you're starting out, also just bear in mind it's a starting point where you start and are going to end, or, you know, take a different turn. Sometimes doors open where you least expect them. So sort of, you know, take one day at a time and put one step in front of the other as you go along. Ntokozo, I think if I can pass over to you, I don't know how many of we have probably I'm just having a look at the listing here. We have predominantly CosChem members on the platform. So we are just going to work through a presentation which covers what CosChem is about, touch a little bit on the cosmetic science course. So though you're more than welcome to stay on the platform, but if you'd like to excuse yourself, we also understand, and we'll just be chatting with some of the students and the entrepreneurs. I think if I can also just make mention, our next presentation on the My Journey into the Personal Care will be our current president, Stephanie, and we will share that date with you. I think it's in October that we're looking at that. So yeah, if I can pass over to you. And thanks again, Sharon. It's been a lifetime.
Indeed.
Thanks so much.
Indeed. Thank you. I'm happy for you to share my email address if anybody wants to be in touch with me, and happy to talk through anything that anybody wants to chat with me about.
Yeah, thank you. I'll pop it into the chat. I think, like we said as well, you know, mentorship and learning and sharing information is really important. And if you are a youngster coming up, you know, I think that is important also just to take cognizance of having a mentor. And I think if you have been studying and you've been at the university, often the lecturers will assist in that regard. But then once you move into a working environment, try and also make sure that you have that support. I think that's also the nice thing about CosChem is that there's a lot of connection within the society. And obviously also if you're involved with the cosmetic science course, we have all of those lecturers who are sharing their knowledge and bringing up the educational level within the cosmetic science side. But Ntokozo, I don't know if you want to share your screen. You're welcome to, or if you want to run through that. I don't know. We've only got about 10 minutes left. Thanks, Sharon.
I will share my screen. I'm sure everyone can see my screen. Let me just switch to presentation mode.
Yeah, perfect. It is sharing.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I am just gonna go through the presentation on the career paths that you can take from the CosChem course. So the mission of this is obviously to foster growth and enhancement and support of technical skills and knowledge amongst cosmetic scientists. And the objectives of the cause would obviously to be promote the advancements of science and technology within the cosmetic and toiletries industry. This would be mostly around your personal care and body care companies. The aim is obviously to improve scientific knowledge. The course encompasses a lot of that it's backed by scientific knowledge. A lot of our lecturers on the platform have the qualification themselves, and they have been helping to facilitate the course. It also encourages and supports research in the cosmetic science industry, and obviously to maintain strong relationship and foster dialogue with key industry bodies. One of the biggest things that we find ourselves, as many of us, is that we generally don't know the cosmetic industry, myself being one of them, that I got in as a whoopsie. But did you know that bubble and bath and shampoos can be thickened with ordinary table salt? So this is a standard shampoo or a standard shower gel that has salt, that has sulfate in it. When you add salt in that, it thickens, which is something that the personal care industry, for people that have been formulating a while, they tend to not want to get away from it because of the cost involved with using sulfate-free systems and all of those things. And drinking water may not be good enough quality for producing cosmetics. The reason for that is that usually drinking water has elements inside, and with that, you are in somewhat have electrolytes, and with the electrolytes, it will affect the stability of your products. Number one. Number two is that with hard water, you generally affect foaming. So if we're going back to the shampoo, if you're making a shampoo, you'll generally have a shampoo that does not foam as well. So that's why it's always advisable to use more purified water or distilled water. The foam in shampoo is the same as the foam found in toothpaste. Any comments on that? Many formulations contain almost 80% of water, just like you. An average woman uses a dozen of beauty products. I know I use a lot of products, but yeah. And in the Middle East, women swallow arsenic to improve their complexion. Oh, this is a new one. Lipstick sales usually increase during recession. The cosmetic industry and toiletry industry. So with this slide, we are talking about what type of manufacturers you'll generally find and what it is that you will also be able to do. So you are able to work as a cosmetic scientist, you are able to work as a consultant, as a formulation expert, and it also offers many career paths where you can join into the you can go into quality, you can go into marketing, procurement, the legal side of it, logistics, and finance. And these are the career paths with personal care industry. With technical, this is more on the formulation side of it, but I'll go into the next slide. And this is where we are with technical career. This is where you do your innovation and product development, the transfer of technology. This is where you take a sulfate-free formulation, you are able to thicken it, and process development. This is the support of manufacturing plants from lab scale to manufacturing, that you also able to develop a process. That is one thing, developing a formulation, it's another if you are not able to upscale it, so it's not commercially viable. And we are looking at stability testing, that also falls under technical R&D work, product testing, product safety evaluations, microbiology, and packaging development. The next one would be QA or QC. This is the testing against a standardized specification of finished goods, raw material, water sources, and packaging components, and also looking at the compliance to production hygiene standards and compliance to general GMP. The next one will be product manufacturing. So this is factory management, process engineering. I have touched a little bit about this, production planning, safety, health, and environment. The next one would be technical sales. This is the supply of raw material and packaging, technical support and the manufacturing process support, formulatory assistance and concept generation, and some claim substantiation. So this goes into your technical sales roles. The next one will be regulation and legislation. These are patents, product safety, regulation affairs, product stewardship, and advertising regulatory body. And the next one would be on consultation. You can consult on regulatory, on formulation, marketing, and advertising. On the marketing side, we are looking at brand management, market research, concept, product evaluation, consumer testing, graphic design, launches, and again, advertising. On the procurement side, this is the raw material and packaging sourcing, planning, processing orders, and negotiation with suppliers. On the logistics side, we are working at warehousing, distribution, specialized courier service, import and export expect. And what we have here is the 2026 council members and office bearers. You have Marcel as the latest exit president, followed by Stephanie, and you have Michelle, Erica on the finance, Beverly, Iva, myself, Cynthia, Rukia, and Ange, Kudzai, Aisha, and Talia, Leanne, Jack, Wayne, and Tiffany. I hope I have not left everyone out. And these are the benefits of the membership. All the benefits of the of being on the COSCAM membership is that you get your annual scientific conference, you have the lectures, you have morning seminars, basic refresher lectures, you have the cosmetic science course, formulation day, you also get supplier day in the different regions, KZN and Cape Town. In addition, you also have industry networking. We generally have this with your COSCAM day, NDF function, supplier days, formulation days. At the end of each session, we do get around and there's a lot of networking that happens on there. And that's where the relationship fostering happens. You have publications where you have monthly pharmaceutical and cosmetic reviews, quarterly IFSCC magazine. You become affiliated with IFSCC, and you have the chapters in Natal and Cape Town, and you get your industry vacancies and internships. And on the pictures here, we just have some pictures from some of the networking events that we have attended and the functions that we've had, like pictures from Supplier Day. We have pictures from the scientific conference. And overall, I think there's some pictures that we had on COSCAM Day. So yeah, overall, quite a good benefits. And we're going to get into the course. So the core industry knowledge, the course provides in-depth knowledge of products, packaging, and label considerations to help students meet industry standards. And the second part of it is the safety and compliance. Students learn safe laboratory practices and they gain a thorough understanding of the compliance side of it. And the next one would be manufacturing excellence. This is a program that emphasizes the best practices in manufacturing to ensure high quality products, the relevance and integrations. Students will benefit from a comprehensive understanding of the industry. So from completion of the course, you will be able to get a general or an understanding on product development, safety, manufacturing, and regulatory. With the next slide is the delivery. This is a self-study. The course material are to be downloaded for independent learning. There are classes that are set up. So there's some attending of classes, and we have online platforms where lectures will be conducted via Microsoft Teams. And with lectures, some lectures will be recorded and available for a limited time. Certain lectures will not be recorded. And we are looking at the course structure. You have module 1, which is the foundation of cosmetic science. This module covers the essential scientific principles that underpin cosmetic formulations and their relevance in the industry. The core topics for this would be basic chemistry. We are looking at raw materials like oils, fats, waxes, gums, and thickness, emulsions, surfactants, and soap technology, hair and skin physiology and care. We are looking at dental science and care. We are also covering fragrance basic evaluation and applications. And the last part would be microbiology and preservatives. On module 2, the focus is on finished product. This is the building of foundation or of the foundation of module 1. The core topics is technical development, product safety, stability and evaluation, decorative, cosmetic. This is color care, your makeup products, aerosol technology, and baby care. The next part will be production, packaging, and legislation. This is where your regulatory information comes in, quality management and micro quality control, marketing and presentation skills. There is a project that goes into module 2. And these are the subjects overview for module 1 and module 2 in general, with module 1 having cell physiology, basic chemistry, biochemistry, viscosity, gums and thickness, and the rest of them ending with preservatives. And with module 2, we have technical development, product safety, decorative, cosmetics, packaging, product evaluation, micro quality management, product safety, legislation, marketing, quality management, presentation skills, baby care, and aerosol technology. During Supplier Day, we have the upcoming Supplier Day in KZN, which will be happening on the 21st of July, 2026. These are the suppliers that will be attending. We have, I think, 23 or 21 to 23, Bridget, and this will be at the Riverside Conference Center in Durban North. And the next one is the COSCAM conference, which is happening on the 9th to the 10th of September, 2026 at the Focus Rooms. And then these are the affiliations that we have, the biggest one being the IFSCC, which we will be hosting in a couple of years. And these are the ways in which you get in touch with COSCAM. So for the education officer, this is the email. And if there's any other information that you require, Bridget is more available on email and on her cell phone. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ntokozo. Thank you. Went through that very thoroughly. Thank you. I don't know if there are any questions. You're welcome to unmute your microphone or pop them in the chat. But as I said, we do just utilize the time to connect with non-members and upcoming students and entrepreneurs. And we are here sort of just really in terms of giving support. I think, a large portion of the industry is obviously made up of the sales, technical sales, which is where Ntokozo falls in, technical sales of raw materials. And then, of course, you have the manufacturer and then you have the finished product. So in all of those sectors, there's lots of avenues for work. You might start in the lab, but you could end up with technical sales, and people have become consultants within the industry with that experience. So I think on that note, there's no questions in the chat. Thank you again to Sharon. Thank you to all our members that have supported us this morning. For anybody else that is interested, there is also if you go to the COSCAM website, all of the previous My Journey into the Personal Care Industry recordings are listed there. Thank you. Javeb, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I see your hand is up. You can just unmute your microphone. I don't think how would you pronounce that, Ntokozo? Genevieve.
Genevieve.
Sorry, Genevieve.
Yes,
sorry.
Thank you so much. I don't know if I'm audible.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, you are.
Cool. Thank you so much, Sharon, for the insight. I joined because, I don't have any background experience in chemistry or physics or anything like that, but I am someone that is looking to build a brand that focuses on natural ingredients and healthcare products. So, well, I have a few questions that I wanted to ask. So I've come across the membership that you guys have at COSCEM. My first question is, do I need to have any background experience, qualifications to be able to become a member? I think that's the first question.
Yeah, Sharon, can I answer that? Because obviously, so there's two hats here. Sharon actually is part of the South African flavor and fragrance industry. And then I'm Bridget and I'm with the COSCEM. So COSCEM's focus is individual science and the focus of the individual, whereas with Sharon, it's more on the flavor fragrance and it's the company. And then CTFA is another association and they're also corporate and focused on the regulatory side. So we're all same industry, but different focal points, which is very much what Sharon was talking to earlier. But if you join COSCEM, there's two categories. So obviously we do have an associate category that is for people that may not have a technical or scientific background. So to answer your question, yes, you can join. We can just forward your application for membership.
Okay, then that answers that actually answers also follow-up questions that I had. Yeah, and then also maybe just another question to ask, as someone with no science qualification, right? If I do want to like get into formula products and such, would you consider like for example, if I am to be part of COSCEM, then networking with chemists and like getting to be able to formulate my products that way, or would you advise to like get those companies that actually formulate the products? Because the risk that I was thinking with that is you don't always know exactly what it is in the product, and if there is a specific brand image or brand value that you want to uphold, like how do you manage between knowing what it is that you want to be in your product and what it is that they actually put in the product?
Sharon, do you want to start? Yeah, you can start and then we'll go from there.
Okay. So I think that the Genovi, am I saying your name right, Genovi?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Genovi, the very important thing is to know that, number one, you're not ever going to know everything. You're not going to be a chemistry buff and also an excellent business person and a marketer and a sales. You need to actually bring onto your team, so to speak, people who can assist you. And the important thing is to build up a trusting relationship with those people. So if you are using a formulating consultant, for example, you need to have the kind of relationship with that consultant who's going to divulge exactly what he or she is doing for you within your product. And it's really talking and fostering a good working relationship. But to just say to you now that you have to go and study chemistry and physics and mathematics and microbiology, no, that probably would be unrealistic. So what you need to now do is find the right partners who can actually hold your hand through the process.
I agree with that. I think there's many ways, I always say it, and it sounds terrible, but to skin a cat, because you've got people that have a concept and an idea, but they, like Sharon said in her presentation, you cannot be everything for everybody. So there are formulation experts. There's a listing actually on the COSCEM website. I popped it into the chat. So I think we can maybe also have another chat, because you obviously would like to have the skill and understanding of what is maybe happening with the process of your development, but you don't have to now be a scientist to do that. So if you're working with a formulation expert, or even some of the suppliers that supply the raw material, if you want to do an anti-aging, a company would assist you with the formulation and the development, and then you utilizing their product, because at the end of the day, it benefits everybody if you are working together. So I don't know if that answers your question. I mean, there is training, there are options to do that, but I think you have to decide if you want the knowledge for yourself, or if you are happy to partner with somebody. So I don't know if that answers that question.
If I can just add something else, and to say that keep learning. There are wonderful opportunities. I mean, the COSCEM course is definitely one of them. But there are a number of other short courses. SAAFFI, for example, runs as well a number of short courses, which will just keep you informed and keep you knowledgeable enough to know what your consultant or what your formulator is talking about. Don't ever hand over complete control. Keep informed, keep as informed as you possibly can without having to study long degrees and things like that. There's a lot of information out there which you can add to your arsenal just to keep you informed.
Yeah, and I think if you start working with, are you aware about it? We can chat also separately, but I mean, that KZN Supplier Day is happening in Durban. So I don't know if you're based in Durban, but I mean, we will have one in Joburg again. Is to actually go through and maybe start networking and meeting with people and building those relationships. Because again, I think at the end of the day, like Sharon said, it's working together with the right person, particularly if it's your own development. You want to have a good relationship in terms of your testing and your contract manufacturer and things like that. But I think it's quite important to remember, and this is where the CTFA come in, cosmetics are self-regulated and there is self-regulation within the sector. And you do need to have a responsible person that if there's a recall or if there's a problem, they will, obviously contact that the responsible person. So if that's your formulator, that would be your responsible person. Then at least you've also got all your documentation and you've got everything in place so that if there is a customer recall of some sort, you have protected yourself. So I don't know if there was another question there.
No, I think that actually answers my question. Thank you so much, Bridget and Sharon. And to answer your question, I am based in Cape Town, so I'll follow up side. If you do have any networking events around Cape Town, I'll definitely join.
Okay, no, that's perfect. We actually had a formulation day scheduled at the beginning of the year, but I think it was a bit too early. It was in February. And we do have a Cape Town chapter. So Ange is our representative down in Cape Town. And we actually will be having the 2029 International Congress in Cape Town. I know it sounds far away, but we will be down in Cape Town for that. Are there any other questions?
No further questions. Thank you so much.
No, pleasure. And thank you for the questions, because a lot of people also are quite nervous to voice that you don't know us, and we appreciate you actually taking the time to have a question. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Sorry, apologies. Okay, I think that's it, Sharon. Thank you for your time and taking. I know it also takes time to build up the presentation. And so I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to share with us and inspire everybody. We appreciate you muchly. And thank you, Ntokozo, because I know you're on leave. Thank you for taking time out of your holiday to come and share with us as well.
No
so I appreciate
problem.
you. Thank you, everybody. If you've got any questions, give the COSCHEM office a call. We're here to chat, and as you say, you could start at point A and end up at a totally different point. So thank you. Okay. Yeah. Have a lovely day. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.